Recently, I've worked on a few images that I think would be perfect for showing some tips on vector tracing for laser engraving. This is the first image that I've received. What it is some leaves, and I don't know what that is, but if you look at it very closely, it's actually a very high quality image. And on top of that, the colors are very high contrast. So that's going to help a lot. Let's select the image and we're going to trace this bitmap. I personally have added these buttons because I use them a lot when working with clip art. You don't have these buttons, but they're not hard to add. Just press this, it says add frequently used items. So you press that, a menu will pop up, you find what you're looking for in the menu, and then you just drag it up here. So this is one step compared to pressing the down arrow, outline trace, and clip art. See, it's got the same symbol that I have up here. So you're going to press the down arrow, outline trace, not quick trace. We never want to use quick trace. It does not give us what we want. So outline trace and clip art. We'll wait for it to process. That one was quick because it's not actually a large image, even though it is a high quality image. But if you look, we have 9 colors in this image. When we engrave, we need 1 color. But when you're setting it up, you want it to be 2 colors. In this case, since there is such high contrast between the colors, we're going to go ahead and just press black and white. If you see, it'll be perfect for engraving, but we've got to get rid of that white, mostly because of the way DXF exports. So we're going to get rid of that white by selecting background color and choose color from the entire image. This is what we're removing. Now, all we have is the 1 color of black. That's what we need. Press OK. This is ready to engrave. That was fast because it was an easy image to engrave. The next one looks like an easy image to engrave, but it is not. Let's go ahead and select it. You'll trace bitmap, or if you've set this up, you can just click on this. And then we'll wait for it to process. This one gives us 13 colors. I don't know about you, but I don't really see 13 colors there. What's happening though is if you look closely, because the image is not as high quality as we would like it to be, it's blending colors. So you have extra colors right here. I'm not sure if you can see it on your screen, but there's the blue and then there's this purpley color and it's kind of shading into the red. Also, this black is a different color black from that, but it's very close to this navy color. So we're going to have a lot of issues with that. We're going to go to colors, and if we choose black and white, this is what we get. We lose a lot of the detail. We need it to be open here and open there, and it's just made it solid, and this just will not work for what we need to do. So we're going to come down here and press undo. But when we do that, we may as well go ahead and count how many colors we have. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Did I count the white? 8. So let's go down to 8 colors. There's 2 shades of yellow. We're going to fix that by click 1 and then press shift and select the next one. You can only press shift if you're selecting a group in a row. If they're not in a group, we're going to want to press control because that'll select them individually. So shift works in this case because they're right next to each other. So we're merging those so that we don't have funny little lines next to the yellow. Now we're going to, this one is for here, this one is for here. We want to merge that with the white because we're going to be getting rid of the white. So we're going to merge those, let it do its job, and that's looking good so far. This one, they all look pretty good. We cannot get rid of these little lines around here because those lines are actually the same color as this. Or we could get rid of them. We merge it like that, and then we just redraw that. But that depends on what you're wanting to do. Once we've done that, if we're going to redraw that line, we want to uncheck this delete original because we're going to need the original so that we can redraw that. Now that we've dropped the number of colors to what we want, we're going to go ahead and press remove color from entire image, and now it's down to what we want. So we're going to press OK, and then we're going to go ahead and color that all pink so that we can see it on there. The next thing is we're going to draw this image. We want to take it from the center of that line, and if you just hold your mouse above the bar, it'll just keep going. And then to the center of this line. I'm pressing space because when you press space, it toggles in between whatever tool you're using and the pick tool. So I'm going to press Control C to copy, Control V to paste. Now I'm going to mirror that. Take this node, put it next to that. I brought it till it snapped to the node. So I've got this line selected right now. I'm going to shift select this one. We're going to press weld because we want them to be one line. Select the shape tool so that we can select one of the nodes, move it, and bring it right back until we see that little arrow going downward. So now we have our line. We can even move this up, holding the shift so that it stays not moving left or right as much. And that looks a little bit better. So now we're going to change the thickness of the line. Oops, I've got to switch to the pick tool. I'm going to change the thickness of the line to where it matches that thickness. But if you notice right here on the end, it's not pointy like that one is. We'll fix that later. So we need to change the thickness again, make it a little bit closer to what we're looking at. We had it on 3, 4 looks good. And then I'm not liking it. I feel like it needs to be just a little bit wider. Okay, that's good. Once we have that set up, we can press Object, Convert Outline to Object, and now it's no longer a line. You notice there's no outline on there. If you look at the properties, it says no outline. We want to go ahead and switch to the shape tool. We're gonna, when you see the little S pop up below the cursor, you know that you're on the line. Double click there and hold shift to try to keep it straight. And now we've got that pointy that we wanted. But the next thing you notice is we have these that it's not visible on the original image. If you look at the original image, you don't see the line through there. So we're going to have to fix that. Let's go ahead and come to the rectangle tool, press and hold, and that'll bring up the menu. We're going to do the 3-point rectangle right here. So we're going to take it here, line it up right there with that flag, bring it down, allow the camera to move, or allow the screen to move, and we can, that is selected now, we can shift click this and press trim. And we're going to flip it, bring it to the other side, shift click that and press trim. And we've got a nice neat little line. Another thing that you notice is on these, the lines are very bumpy. That's because the colors were so close. Depending on how much of a hurry we're in, we might want to go in and fix that, make it look a little bit better. Also, depending on the size that you're making, that you're engraving, the bigger it is, the more you'll be able to see these details. And because engraving takes additional kerf, which is the removal of material, since it does that, it enhances all these little imperfections. So I'll show you a few tricks. There's different ways to do this. One, We go to the shape tool, and I have this outer one selected, but do I? Oh, I guess it's still grouped. So we've got to ungroup it. Now we can go to the shape tool, select that. Look at all those nodes. So there's different ways you can do this. You can either recreate it, you can go in there and delete and line things up, or you can adjust the fact that the inside actually has a lot less nodes, and we'll do something that way. But you can also reduce the number of nodes. May not work so well here because it is so bumpy. So you press reduce nodes, you notice there's not a lot of difference. Even when you use the slider, there's not a lot of difference. But when you use the slider, it does make that inside one very nice. The outside one is the one that just is really bad. So I'm going to press space. Well, first I have to get off of the slider. Press space, and I'm going to do something different here. So put this back at the center by pressing P. But this, I'm going to press Control K. What that does is it breaks apart the two lines. Now they are their own individual curves. We're going to delete this outer one because that's the ugly one. And then we're going to come to, it's usually on shadow. You press and hold and choose the contour tool. We're going to do a contour on the outside, and we're going to make it go until it reaches the edge of that yellow. We can press space to go back to the pick tool. We're still on the contour. The contour is what's selected, and we're going to press Control K to break apart the outer line and the inner line to separate the contour. Now it is no longer a contour, it is its own object. When you have two objects selected, it brings up these items. They are welding items. If you weld it like this, it just welds them, puts them together, and it does not empty out the inside. I'm going to press Control Z to undo. This is a trim, and the rest of them do different things, like this is an outline everything, etc., etc. These are all simplified. We're not going to use any of those. What I'm going to use is one that's not even on this menu. It's a secret. You're going to press Control L. That is a combine weld. Wherever it overlaps, it takes it out. And since it only overlaps in the middle, it took out the middle. So that's how you would do it if one side of it comes out prettier than the other. You just take off the ugly side, do the contour to the thickness where the ugly side was, Control K, Control L. Very quick, very easy. If we look at these, well, now we got to move this guy. Here I'm going to go to Objects, and I'm just going to go ahead and hide him so that it's easy to see. These are also very, very bumpy. They're not as bumpy as the outer one. We could probably get away with it, but I'm going to use it as an opportunity to show you another trick that we can do. So we already did this, or tried this, where we reduce the nodes, it doesn't change much, etc., etc. So that would actually work pretty decently here if we wanted it to, but I'm going to go ahead and show you another trick. So instead of reducing the nodes, if you want a perfect shield, no random things or anything like that, we're going to draw it ourselves. So we'll find the node in this corner, click it, press Shift so that this stays perfectly horizontal. See how it's staying horizontal? And then find the node in this corner. Let go. Then we are still on the line tool. We're going to wait until we see the cursor. Guess we got to zoom in a bit. The cursor, and then a little arrow aiming down to the left. We're going to click there. We're going to come down, and if you move it over the edge of the screen, it means move. We're going to find the center here as best as we can. And then we're going to do the same thing, look for that same cursor symbol, which is basically attached to that node. And then we're going to come here until we see the cursor symbol again. All of these were created with the 2-point line tool, which creates a straight line. Normally on this menu you see the freehand tool, but we didn't want to do that because that takes a lot more work. Now we're going to switch to the shape tool. We still have this triangle selected, so that's good, but now we want to select each individual node with the shape tool. So I'm just mousing over to select all the nodes. We're going to turn each one to a curve. Right now they are lines. We want them to be curves, so we're going to change them to a curve. Now we're going to click somewhere else so that they're not selected anymore. You can do this the quick way or the detailed way. So the quick way would be to just take this edge, take it to that edge. Take this edge and find the line, take it to that edge. Same thing here, take the edge, find the line, and take it to there. That would be the quick way. It's not exact, but it's close enough that nobody's really going to notice. The detailed way would be to come to the line, wait until you see the little S, double click, and bring that to the edge. And then now come down here where you see it not on the line, double click, bring it to the edge. Same here, double click, bring it to the edge until it's exact to the same shape as the previous one. I'm not going to bore you and do all of them. The rest of them will just stay the quick way. But that's how you do it to the exact shape. Now we're going to do the exact same thing that we did with the outer one. We're going to do the contour tool, going outward to the same thickness. And so we'll press space bar to get out of the contour tool cursor and onto the pick tool cursor. We're going to press Control K to break apart, Control L to weld together. I'm going to fill it with black and take off the outline. Delete the previous one. Another thing that you have to keep an eye out for are little extra overlaps of different colors. I don't see any here. We can also straighten these lines out or straighten these lines out. Like this would be easy, but to just come here, do the 2-point line, take it here to here. You're doing it down the center, and then you make it as thick as it looks like. And if you notice, this one is going to give you a little edge pointing out, and we don't want that, so we're going to grab our shape tool, bring it in further, and then we press space bar because we want to go back to the pick tool. Object, convert outline to object, and now it doesn't have an outline, it is an object. Press Alt to choose the object behind it. The problem that we run into here is that when you export this file to a DXF, it's going to export it like this. I'm going to show you. This line will tell it start engraving, so it'll engrave here until it reaches this line. Then it stops engraving. Same thing here. This line tells it start engraving, and it'll engrave until it reaches this line. Then it'll stop engraving, and then it'll start engraving. You see how this works? When we export it to DXF, we can't have these little overlaps like that. So what we're going to do is we're going to take this, shift click this, and shift click this, and we'll press weld up here. Now, when you fill it and you show the outlines of it, it is all one piece. It'll tell the engraver to engrave only what's inside. And we can do the same thing here and so on and so forth, do it for each item, etc., etc. Now we'll select everything, make it all black, make sure we have no outlines, because if you left something as an outline instead of converting it to an object, this is where you'll find out. You press Control G and P to put it in the middle of the page. And now this is ready for engraving. The last one I copied and pasted from the order. When I did that, it gave me this black background. It didn't have a black background on the order. Why does it give me one here? The reason it does is because it has a transparent background, and when you draw it into Corel Draw by copying and pasting, it gives it a black background. So you're going to have to download it and then import it into the page. Once you do that, this is what it looks like. This one is another one of those that looks like it's going to be an easy trace. Looks can be deceiving. Select the image, do the trace, and you'll see. Let's wait for the trace to process. That one was very quick because it's actually a very small image. Let's zoom in. Look at those letters. Not good. Look at this guy with all the funny colors in his eye. Not good. Right now, it has the background as transparency. So we want to change what background it sees. We're going to select Specify, choose the dropper, go to the white area, and now it's selected that one white area as the background. Now we'll choose Remove Color from the entire image. And boom, it's taken out all the white areas in there. Great! We still have 5 colors for a 2-color print. So we're going to come here, and we're going to start reducing the number of colors. Well, that's not working out too well, is it? So let's go back to the 5 colors. We know this color and this color should be the same. So we're going to go ahead and merge those. Then we've got this one. We've got this one, but notice how it's one of the circles that we need and something that we don't need. So we're going to keep that one, and we'll just delete out the parts we don't need when we get to the actual file. But this one, we don't need any part that it has here. So we're going to take that. We're going to control click the white, which is the background we told it to remove from the whole image. And we're going to merge those. And guess what? It's now removed all of those. So we'll press OK with our 3 colors, even though we really need to get rid of one of them. And this is what it looks like. It's not great. Oops, I still had it set to keep the previous image. Not great. Everything's very grainy, very ugly. We're going to ungroup. We'll remove this, remove that, remove that, remove that, and that. Okay, so that's ready to go. Let's go ahead and select that and group it so that we can keep it. On this circle, it's very bumpy on the outside, but the inside is actually not bad. It's a nice clean line. We're going to want to keep that inside when we recreate the circle. So we're going to come here. It's usually on the interactive fill tool, but we want the smart fill. And we're going to put it right there. But if we draw a new circle and we use this to cut it, it's going to cut just this part. We want to cut all of it because we want it to be totally clear on the inside. We have this shield selected. Let's press Control K for break apart. Shift click the outer edge to unselect the outer edge, and then press delete. So now this is just the one piece that we need to cut our circle so that it's completely empty in the middle. This circle is about 1.69. Let's go ahead and make a circle that's 1.69. We'll take the circle tool. It's called the ellipse tool, but I always call it the circle tool. So if you hear me say circle tool, you know I mean the ellipse tool. So press Control and pull it out, because what Control does is it allows you to make the circle perfect in all areas. If you do Shift, it's like this. It keeps it up and down like that. If you don't do anything, it keeps it where you can move around like that. But Control allows you to put it for the whole area. Put it equal all the way around. Because I already centered this image to the page, we're just going to press P because that should be center. We'll bring it out to the edge of this circle. And we're going to press Control End so that it's all the way at the bottom of the page. Notice where it lands on our layers, all the way down at the bottom. And then we'll delete this old circle, the ugly one. Take our new little yellow shield, select that, and then we'll shift select that circle. We're going to press Trim, and boom, we now have that next one. Black, no outline. Now I'm going to shift click this and we're going to group those. Those are done. Next, we're going to work on this circle right here. So we're going to take another circle, control and drag it out, press P. So we want to bring it out to the middle of this line. That looks like about the middle, right? We're going to stretch it out, make it nice and fat. 4 points doesn't look fat enough, but the next one available is 8 points. That's way too fat. Control Z to undo. Let's go ahead and do 5 points. That looks about right. For this, we're not going to convert the object to outline yet. We're going to select all our little letters here. And we're going to group them and color them in an obvious color that we're getting rid of them. We're also going to be getting rid of these baseballs, so I'm going to go ahead and paint those pink as well. So now we have Raptors and Lhasa baseball. We know we're getting rid of those. Very clear that this is collegiate font. R-A-P-T-O-R-S. I'm not the best at typing. I can type fast, but I tend to make mistakes. Collegiate black FLF. Center, because we want it to still center when we attach it to the circle. Control K to break apart our two lines. Now we're going to take the bottom of this T and line it up with the bottom of that T. This T is the only one that's kind of standing straight up, but it'll give us a good idea of what size we need this to be. So we're going to take this and shift click it. We forgot to delete our gray one back here. Let's get rid of that guy. We're going to take our Raptors, shift click this circle. We're going to go to Text, Fit Text to Path. It lands right on there, but that's okay, not a problem. We can push this out like this. We want it to go on the same spot as that. But when we do it up this far, it's too far. We do it here, it's too low. But if you notice, it's 0.1 or 0.15. So an easy way to do that is to go 0.125. That looks about right. Now we're going to go to our text tool. And if you don't have any of these menus on the right side, you can always press this plus and pull it up from this menu right here by putting a check mark. But I have my text tool. So I'm going to text, and then I'm going to increase the size of the space in between. Character spacing is what it's called. Assuming it's going to be over 30, but I'm going to start at 30 and work my way up from there. And we can just keep doing this. When you choose Fit Text to Path, it's automatically in the center, so we don't have to worry about stuff like that at this point. So we've got Raptors. Let's go ahead and delete that background one. Let's go to baseball. The A is the one that looks like it's the closest to straight up and down. So I'm grabbing this by the baseline down there and lining it up to that bottom of that A. And now we're going to shrink it down to where they look about the same size. There's two ways to fit this text to the path. You can choose this and the circle and choose Fit Text to Path. And you're going to want to bring it all the way around. And of course it's upside down, so you're going to want to do that. But that makes it backwards. If you can see, there's the LASA. So we're going to do the mirror. Then we're going to bring it out to where it lines up, and then we'll bring it all the way around again. Or we can choose this. We can press Fit Text to Path, and we don't have a circle chosen. We're going to line this up right here in the center and try to line it up with those letters down there. And now we'll click. Of course, it is still showing it backwards and upside down. So we need to flip it and flip it. Now we need to push it out further. And wow, we can bring it center again. Okay, and then this is going to be at least 60. Okay, let's do 70. And in this one, we have a space in between. Let's go all the way to 100. We need to add more to the space. So the space in between the two words, it's already at 100%. What that's saying is it's the 100% of the size of a letter should be the space in between each word. So we want it to be probably somewhere around 200%, maybe a little bit more. Let's go 250. That looks about right. And this looks like it needs a little bit more. And yeah, that's looking good. So now we can delete that old one. We have all these letters. They're still attached to the same circle. The circle is still an outline. And remember that when you export to DXF, it reads it by lines. So if it's an outline, it is just a line. It's not going to be read to engrave. It's going to show this as a line, this as the engraving, this as a line, etc., etc. So we don't want it to do that. So what we're going to do first is we're going to press Control Q to the letters so that they don't end up getting distorted in the process of converting it to DXF. Sometimes they change where they're at and things weird go wrong. So Control Q turns any font into a curve. So they're now just objects. They're no longer a font. You can't change them. You can't retype it, etc., etc. And then this outer line, we're going to go to Object, Convert Outline to Object. And now we have that circle. It has no outlines. It'll read it as two lines. We're going to go ahead and do the same thing for this circle. So we need to create a circle by pressing Control and dragging it out. Spacebar to go back to the pick tool. P to center it. Bring it out to the center of this. And we'll remember it was 6 that looked the best. We'll delete the background and look at how much prettier that circle is than the other one. Object, convert outline to object. Boom. This is almost ready. This baseball is horrible. We don't want to give our clients a baseball that looks like that. Fortunately, I have a few baseballs already on file. This one is perfect, but it's in a group, and if I ungroup it, then I have to resave the file, blah, blah, blah. So I'm just going to Control-click to select the single item out of the group. And then I'll press Control-C to copy. Go back to my file that we're working on, zoom out a bit, Control-V, there it is. If you notice that the inside of this baseball is filled with white, that's actually the part we're going to use. So let's see the size of this. It's 0.325. That's what size we're going to need to make this. So we're going to press Ungroup, select the black portion, delete it. Now all we have is the white portion. The easy way to find it is just to square, select, and there it is. And we can change it to black. We're going to group that by pressing, oh, it's already grouped. We would have grouped it by pressing Control-G, but it is already grouped. So now we'll shrink it down to 0.325. 0.325. Press E to center it vertically and C to center it horizontally. Now we can select the one behind it. But if you look, these are very tiny. It's going to be very difficult for us to engrave that and get it to show up. So we're going to go back to our contour tool. We're going to do an inner contour and we're going to set it at 0.003. Enter. Press the space to go back to our pick tool. Control-K to break apart. Now we can use that inside one instead. And let's go ahead and just make it a little bit bigger than what they had so that it comes out nicer. We're going to take that and we're going to shift so that it stays exactly on the same level. Bring it over until we see center on the other ball, and then we're going to right click so that it duplicates it. Select that other ball, and now I think we're done. I'm going to press black for all fills. I'm going to right click on the blank outline to make sure we have no outlines. Control G to group it all together. Now we have an engravable Raptors file. This is the last one that I had that I wanted to show the tips on. Hopefully all of this will help you to expand your knowledge on vector designing for laser engraving.